It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
Not just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. Trevor Sikkema and Mike Renner back on the desk with us here for IJF. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live. We got this one here. Mike, back from LA, from the Great West. How are you feeling today, my friend?
Feeling good. Went out to the national championship game. That was the worst national championship game I've ever seen.
You keep shortening it, just like national championship. Like, it wasn't a game.
It was
we
not
just
a
take
game.
Game off.
That was pretty abysmal to watch. So, but had a good time, anyways. So glad to be back. Also glad the Packers put me out of my misery earlier this year. Not to get my hopes up for a crashing late January defeat. Just an early January one this time.
That sounds like a man who's hurt. That's not the tone that I was hearing.
I'm on the Bucks.
That's not the tone that I was hearing. It's not the tone that I was hearing last week. How was SoFi? How was the stadium?
SoFi is incredible. I will say that place. I mean, it was $5.5 billion to create, and I didn't realize. What I didn't realize.
That's how much it was.
Yeah, it was the most expensive stadium in NFL history by like double the one previously. Lives up to the hype. It's like there's just restaurants in the stadium. There's just like things you can do within the stadium that are irrespective of the game. Very cool. Like the club level suites, insane. Well, what I didn't realize is the NFL Network's studio, like the NFL's headquarters for all their media stuff, is like they go right next to each other. It is right on top of SoFi. The whole NFL Network stuff. So also that was very cool to see.
Collusion.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a lot of NFL draft stuff today on the show, as is a Wednesday edition of the show. We're going to talk about the finalized draft order for the non-playoff teams. Get 1 through 18? 1 through 18, right? Because, we got the extra one, so it's 19. We'll get 1 through 18. We'll talk about who is picking where. Plus, we're going to get into some tier builders. We're going to talk about some of the top prospects in this draft and say, okay, who's a blue chip talent? How many blue chip talents do we have in this draft? And then kind of go down. You've seen tier makers all over social media. So we're going to do that with draft prospects. But, Mike, just real quick, from the national championship game, a lot of draft prospects in that one. Do you have any major takeaways? You're laughing immediately. So what?
I mean, because it was 1 quarter of actual football before
That's true.
It ended. Major takeaways: Jalen Carter, stud, draft him. Don't look back. Going to be awesome. Quentin Johnson had opportunities. He was getting open. Don't overrate the fact that he only had 3 yards. That was on Duggan. That was not on Quentin Johnson.
Stetson Bennett, top 10 pick.
Stetson Bennett's going to get drafted. I know he's fun to hate, whatnot, but he's done some things that, if Ian Book can go in the 4th round, it would not surprise me if Stetson Bennett's a 4th, 5th rounder this year.
Stetson Bennett's definitely going to get drafted.
Yeah.
Let's get Quinn, Stav, and Eli into the show. Quinn, my question of the day for you. Is Stetson Bennett going to get drafted? He's got to get drafted.
I think so.
Yeah, come on.
I think it was like halfway through the first quarter, like when they really started to open it up, I threw out in one of my group chats, because I haven't watched a ton of Georgia this year, and I said, Stetson Bennett is better than I remember him being, because he made some really good throws in the semis too, and he made some really good throws in the national championship game. I mean, if you can throw the ball like that and you've had the success that he's had, somebody will take a shot.
It is incredible what confidence can do. I know that's kind of like a duh statement, but we all remember seeing Burrow the year before 2019, right? He was LSU's QB the year before. Yeah. He looked nothing like he was in 2019. And in 2019, he just showed up and he was the most confident player on the field every single game, no matter what. And he's obviously made a career out of it. We're seeing it in the NFL. It's the same exact way, and he's able to keep that confidence. Stetson Bennett, to me, feels like the same guy. Last year, it was kind of like, all right, well, he even said himself, if he screws up, he's going to get the hook. He's not going to be able to play anymore. This year, it was, okay, you're the guy no matter what. And he only got better as the year went on. That national championship game, did he miss a throw? I know that wasn't great defense that he was going up against, but, did he miss a throw? I feel like he didn't. And that's just because of how confident he's playing.
Yeah.
So, much your thoughts. Quinn, do you have a question of the day for us?
I do, but I'm going to tell the social team to put that on a graphic. Stetson Bennett equals Joe Burrow.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. My mentions have been
older prospect, not a strong arm.
Yeah.
Probably small hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that engagement. Thank you. Yeah, just send it over their way. That'll go well for me.
Today's question of the day.
Yeah.
It's honestly more of a test to see how much of a company man or company men you guys are.
Okay.
How many Philadelphia Eagles got a PFF 2022 All-Pro team selection.
Ooh. Gotta be Lane.
Didn't read the article.
Gotta be AJ.
Came
So
out
you're
this
not a
morning.
company
Maybe
man.
not.
If I didn't,
Could have guessed
it
and
came
got it
out
right
this-
and been like, I knew that the whole time.
Gotta be Lane. I would
All right.
probably say we'd put Kelsey on there too.
I was going to say, for everybody in the chat, I know you can just go to pff.com, and we do want you to do so, but not this second. Like, try to get your guesses in before you go and see what
Is this first team All Pros or just first or second?
First and second.
First and second.
An All-Pro vote is an All-Pro vote.
All right. Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson,
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts.
Woody?
No, I guess he wouldn't get that
He
over.
wouldn't get
he
first
wouldn't
or
get. He wouldn't get that over. AJ Brown,
Yes.
Darius Slay,
Yeah. Or Bradbury. One of them is going to be on. Maybe not both, but like one of the two. That's 4.
that's 4.
It
I
might
don't
be
think
it.
I don't think the pass rushers are going to make it.
Yeah, I don't
they've been
think
good,
Edwards.
but I don't think any of them make it. They'd have to go up against Jeffrey
they're
Simmons,
just-
Quinton Williams,
yeah.
Dexter Lawrence,
And then
Chris
the
Jones.
edge.
None of them are getting that.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa, Michael Parsons, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby.
Dallas Goddard's the only other one, but I think he missed enough time. And because after Kelsey, there's no one at tight end, right? Who would even be tight end 2 on an All-Pro team? There's not going to be.
Kittle.
Okay. Kittle,
With the
nobody
last
else.
4 weeks, I mean,
Okay.
like it's
Okay, so-
not even close.
So I'd say
have to
4
put
then.
George Kittle.
I'm
on
going to
there.
go 4.
Okay, we're gonna go with 4. In the chat we have nice dude says 8, incredible. Philip says 7. Victor says 7. Holy cow, you guys! Who are these? If you think it's above 5 or 6, we need names. I want
Yeah.
names out here. I agree with you. It's either Darius Slay or James Bradbury. You can't give. You're not going to give them both.
I don't think it would be both.
I don't think you can give them both. Pierce says, don't forget TJ Edwards, okay? We remember TJ Edwards? Probably not.
I don't think he's making it. I did, but I don't
think
I just
don't think he's
was.
going to
But
make
he's
it.
solid.
I'm going to go 4. Going 4.
Now I kind of want to see who we put. We go look, see.
Well, come on. You got to
I'm
wait.
not cheating.
Oh,
My final answer is 4.
okay, yeah, I think our final answer is going to be 4. But don't tell us yet. Don't tell us till the
right.
end of the show. It's a Wednesday edition of the show, which means it is chock full of NFL draft talk. We are getting deep into the NFL draft here, and we figured the best way to do that would be to tell the final order as it stands right now with the non-playoff teams. So let's go over it right now. We'll go 1 through 18. I'll go down the entire list, and then let's get into certain scenarios because I believe there are infinite amount of scenarios that we can have, especially at number 1 overall. Chicago has that number 1 overall pick. Houston's at number 2. Arizona at 3. Indianapolis at 4. Then we got Seattle at 5. Detroit ends up with the number 6 overall pick. Vegas at 7. Atlanta's at 8. Carolina's at 9. Philly does get a top 10 pick because of the Saints at number 10. Tennessee's at 11. Houston at number 12. Jets get 13. New England gets 14. Green Bay gets 15. Washington 16. Pittsburgh 17. And the Detroit Lions with their actual first-round selection get that final spot before the playoff cutoff. Mike, let's talk about number 1 overall.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I didn't get your thoughts on just Houston blowing it overall.
Oh, I was rooting so hard for Houston. You have no idea. Just because.
For Houston?
For Houston.
Oh.
Because the content. Think about how great the content is now. If Houston was number 1, the discussion would be so blah. It'd be like, okay,
Oh,
with
so you're
Houston.
saying you were rooting for Houston to win the game?
Win the game.
I thought you were saying you were rooting for Houston to get the number 1 overall pick.
No, rooting for Houston to win the game
course.
for content reasons
Of course.
only.
Yes.
Because now, Chicago, the debate becomes awesome. You're going to have some people saying Bryce Young is so much better of a prospect than Justin Fields was, they should go Bryce Young. You're going to have some people responding to that, saying Justin Fields is the GOAT, even though he had the worst record in the NFL, he's still the GOAT, and that you have to ride with him going forward, even though he had the worst PFF passing grade in the NFL this season. People are going to say that too. And then you're going to have me over here saying, I don't really think you can go wrong. You're in a great position. You lucked out by getting to
Middleman
Texas
Mike.
to do this.
Middleman Mike.
To say, hey,
M.
if you wanted, if you can get a haul for this number 1 overall pick, by all means,
You
go
can.
do it.
You can.
And I think you can in this year's draft. I think either Indy, I think Carolina are going to be desperate for a quarterback. I think even Houston at number 2 could try to fend that off and go up, and you could still get your choice of best pass rusher along the defensive line available. So Chicago, whatever happened, cards fell perfectly for them to where with this much cap space, with this much draft capital, just don't mess it up. Just don't. You can't really mess it up. You can't mess it up.
Do you think there's a debate between Justin Fields and Bryce Young?
Yeah, I do.
Genuinely?
I think that's a real conversation that the Bears are going to have, that the Bears have to explore, have to do all their vetting on Bryce Young and come to that conclusion, because quarterbacks don't lose value. You can have both those guys in your roster next year, and if you trust your coaching staff, it not be a huge problem going forward. It is just a competition, and Bryce Young, just because he doesn't beat out Justin Fields or vice versa, doesn't mean those guys are going to lose their value next year. You can still get back a first rounder for either of those guys very easily.
So you're even entertaining the possibility of drafting Bryce Young and then
having both.
Having them both.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's the first time I've heard that, because I hear a lot of people say, like, okay, what could you get? And I kind of lean this way, even though I do love Bryce Young. I kind of lean more of, you're going to be able to get more for the number 1 overall pick than you would a player who's already in the league. Even for a player, Justin Fields, whose ceiling continues to look high, you're still going to get more for that number 1 overall pick. So keeping Justin Fields and then trading number 1, you might have 3 first-round picks, right, that you could get for that one, as opposed to if you drafted Bryce Young, even if you traded Justin Fields, what's Justin Fields going to fetch? Maybe an extra first-round pick and I don't know, a day 2, day 3, maybe a couple day 3 picks. It's not going to be nearly as much. So I think that has to factor into it too.
I will say, and everyone's penciling this in, saying a trade's going to happen, Trades are less frequent.
Dude, it has to
at the top of the draft than you might imagine. It's happened once in the last 17 drafts that the number 1 overall pick has been traded. So and that was another scenario where it was the Titans in a similar realm where they had Marcus Mariota. Second year of Marcus Mariota, they're saying, showed enough, we're going to ride with him. Traded that to the Rams. Got a haul. I mean, they got 15 in that year's draft. They got 2 second-rounders, a third-rounder, then a next year's first and a next year's third. If you get that as the Chicago Bears, you pull the trigger on that. Sure.
Right.
100%. But if you don't, if the demand isn't there and you still love Bryce Young, I think you maybe make that play.
Bryce Young, obviously a quarterback, makes this conversation a little bit different. But what about for a player, and we'll talk about this on the touchscreen, guys that we identify as these blue chip talents. But what about the Bears who, outside of what they might do at quarterback, people would say, like, oh, they need a Jalen Carter. They need a Will Anderson. Would you be okay with them staying at 1 and picking one of those guys?
No, that's the worst thing.
Okay, I completely agree with you. I just wanted to hear what you're taking.
Exactly, because you go back to 4.
Yeah.
Colts. Very reasonable. Texans are still going to go quarterback. There's still a good enough quarterback class. The Texans are going quarterback. To where then you're getting Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. So you have to, you can't just sit and pick a position player at 1. That to me would be worst case.
Yeah, because it's one thing to say, is Will Anderson worth number 1 overall?
Yes.
It's another thing to say, is Will Anderson worth 3 first-round picks? Because that's what you would be probably giving up if you were to just stay at number 1 and select them. What about Houston? How aggressive do you think Houston needs to get a number 2? Because before, they would have had their pick of the litter. But I've seen some Houston fans, even after the game, say, hey, this isn't the worst thing in the world. We're still picking number 2. I could sit back at number 2 and take a quarterback that was not named Bryce Young, if they really like C.J. Stroud or Will Levis or somebody who they could take it to. How desperate do you think, if desperate at all, Houston might be to pick swap there from 1 and 2?
I don't think they're going to be that desperate. I think you're just going to say, we'll take who falls at that point. Because you still are a bad roster, right? You still have the desperation at other positions around this team to where it's still going to cost you to move up to number 1. It's still going to cost you somewhere in the neighborhood of probably another first rounder that they do have, obviously, from the Cleveland Browns. But I do think that if you're Houston, the way it's going to play out right now is more likely than not they just sit at 2 and take the quarterback that falls to them.
Okay.
But man, what a just idiotic. I mean, like, if you are a owner, manager, any management position in the Houston Texans,
it's
awful
tough
for your long-term prospects.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And you have to think that Lovey knew that he was getting fired, and so he just goes out with the double middle fingers with the win to get a win at the end of the season. I think Brandon Cooks probably did as well, right? Because he plays in that game, and I remember I think he scored the first touchdown in that game, and he does like the arrow celebration. I'm like, man, Cooks wanted to be out of Houston already so bad. You know that he's kind of doing this with maybe a little bit of motivation to stick it to Houston there. Nice Dude says, Ballard was hinting that he really likes a QB. Who do you think it was? Colts are sitting there at number 4. It feels like they have all the opportunity in the world to take a quarterback either at 4 Or now moving up to number 1 isn't out of the question either, because it's really not that far of a move back for the Chicago Bears. So maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks, some extra picks thrown in there. You can get up to number 1 if you want your pick of the litter. Do you think that's what Ballard was talking about?
Yeah, I'd have to. That's the team that makes the most sense. It makes the most sense for the Bears. That's what I had in my first mock draft here, postseason, that, like I said, the Bears can still get one of the top position players, and the Colts are within striking distance. That going from 4 to 1, not going to be so expensive for you. You know, it might be 4 to 1, and then next year's first, we call it a day sort of thing. Like that might not be nearly as much as someone like the Carolina Panthers, maybe even the Raiders could be deep in this quarterback class. That it'll cost you going from 7-9 to 1.
I just look at the bidding war that's going to happen, man. Indianapolis at 4, certainly Houston at 2, Vegas at 7, Carolina at 9. Ultimately, that's why I think Houston might not move, because certainly they have the best pick to give. Yeah. But Indy, Vegas, and Carolina, if not other teams down the list, which we didn't talk about, if the Jets want to get involved at 13, if the Commanders want to get involved at 16, the price is going to be so high for this number 1 overall pick, because I think there's going to be so many teams bidding on it that Houston might end up having to give up way more capital than they want to just move up 1 spot. So I feel like I do agree with you. I think that that's probably going to be to their disadvantage. Arizona, let's talk about Arizona a little bit. I don't want to go full mock draft here, but this is interesting looking at all the different scenarios. Arizona ends up with the number 3 overall pick. Steve Keim's gone, Cliff Kingsbury's gone. It sounds like they're going to trade DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler Murray might not even play at all next year. What's the outlook here for the Arizona Cardinals? Like, what?
Not good.
Are we still? Are we thinking at 3? It's got to be one of those top defensive players, or what?
Yeah, you're not in a position as a franchise to basically go for need. You know, right? You just have to take the best player. And as we're going to see here, there are a few blue chip guys in this class. I put 3 in the blue chip tier.
Okay.
But 2 of them are along the defensive line. That's where I'm investing if I'm the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, it also qualifies as a need for them. So you're just Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, whichever one's there, you're taking if you're the Arizona Cardinals and saying, good job, good effort. We actually got a good player for us.
This also feels like a potential trade down scenario for Arizona, right?
It's viable.
Number 3.
But if QBs go 1-2,
yeah,
could be. It could be. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but Arizona is in a full rebuild, I'd say.
What's your thoughts on Carolina? What's Carolina do at 9? So much of the rest of yesterday on the show, Seth and I talked about our most appealing and least appealing head coach vacancies in the NFL right now. I had Carolina at number 1. And the reason why I have Carolina at number 1 is because as long as you're okay with Tepper kind of being a very active owner, you have everything there other than a starting quarterback. Quarterback is, of course, the most important position, but the defense, not only they're good, they're young. The offensive line's getting better. You still got good skill position players, which you can continue to grow with over the next couple of years. Getting a young quarterback, promising quarterback on a rookie contract, if you could do it this year, could be huge for them. But what do you do at number 9, knowing that you got at least 3 teams ahead of you that are going to be gunning for quarterbacks as well?
It's tough, and they have the firepower to make the move. That's why they made the Christian McCaffrey trade. It's what they stated. So they have the 2 second-rounders now to make a play if they really want to up in this draft. To me, after the first, it really depends how the quarterback sort of fall out in the top 5. You know, who's taking whom at 1 and 2. Because I could see them obviously making a move. But also, I don't think it's terrible to stand pat and say, like, hey, an Anthony Richardson is a guy that we'll try to develop. We'll bring back Sam Darnold and let one of these guys develop, because I think no matter who it is in this class, if you're not getting Bryce Young, you're not expecting a rookie to come in and hit the ground running in this class, I'll just say. So if you're not getting Bryce Young, I think Anthony Richardson versus those top guys, I'm not sure the desperation is going to be there with how, I guess, just much else they need. So they could use those 2 second-round picks. If they're trading away a future first, that's going to be a top 10 pick probably. That's going to be a high pick. So I think that might be the strategy I'd employ if I'm the Carolina Panthers GM.
Birmingham agrees with you. This is Carolina stays put, lets Richardson fall to them.
Yeah.
Daniel says the Panthers only really need to jump the Raiders to get one of the quarterbacks that you would be comfortable with. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Anthony also saying the Panthers need to stay where they are. Daniel saying Panthers trade up to 1 for Stetson Bennett. Book it. All right. Interesting bet. Probably can make a lot of money if you actually believe that, Daniel. Curtis said that not a great year to be picking 5 through 10. Not a ton of value that you love at that position. You agree with this?
I'd agree. It's not like 2021. That's for damn sure. When 5 through 10 was just a house. Those were blue chippers left and right. It's not as bad as last year, though, I'll say. I think it's a much better class than last year than what we saw. But, yeah, it does dry up after the first, probably about top 5. After a couple quarterbacks go, a couple position players go, you have a tier there that's very similar, which is maybe a good segue to our next segment.
Not quite.
Oh, damn it.
That was close, though.
That was close.
I do salute you for the attempt. I do want to get a little bit into the teams outside the top 10, though. We had Tennessee at 11. We got Houston at 12 with their second first-round pick. We got the Jets at 13, New England's at 14, Green Bay's at 15, Washington 16, Pittsburgh 17, and Detroit sitting there at number 18. As of right now, I think it was soft. We just rounded out the top 20. It's the Buccaneers at 19 and Seattle at 20, but that all depends on how they finish in the playoffs. For these teams that are picking in the teens, who is the team that you could see maybe being most aggressive to move and for what? Like, are the Jets, them versus a free agency quarterback, do we think they might want to move up? Do we think Tennessee might want to move up for a quarterback, sitting there at number 11? Washington at 16 basically looks like the only guy who's viable for them into next year is Sam Howell, and that's only one game. What's your overall thoughts about any team that could be aggressive from this group?
Yeah, we're talking about maybe a Bears-esque move up for Justin Fields, right? It's like someone who's in this range where they know 4 quarterbacks are probably going to be gone by the time they're drafted, and maybe want to make a play to jump a Carolina. Maybe want to make a play to jump even a Tennessee, I'll say, in this class. Could be hitting reset at the quarterback position long term in what they want. So, and everyone knows Philly sitting at 10 is always a trade partner. They're always looking to accrue more picks, accrue more value. So I do think, obviously, interdivisional trades, someone like Washington, wouldn't make sense to go up to Philly, but maybe all the way up to 8. It could make sense to go get a quarterback because you just need to take shots, right? The tenor is that they want to roll in, don't want to hit reset at quarterback again, don't want to go through the rigmarole that they've been through a zillion times now, it seems like, but it's not, you just have to keep going. You have to keep taking the shots. Unfortunately, when you don't have that guy, even though Sam Howell did look solid in Week 18, looked like he probably could have been playing a little bit earlier even this season, I do think that you're still wanting to give yourself as many options as possible. So that's probably the team I'd highlight in that range that really would make sense if they want to get a little aggressive. Yeah,
people seem to really like the Washington up to number 8 if they're going to make the move. If a quarterback happens to fall and they get to take a chance there, they can maybe move up to there. Atlanta obviously would then get to stockpile a ton of picks as they're continuing to rebuild, which makes sense. You can still get a decent edge rusher, I think, if you're remaining in the top 20 for them. Basically any defender. Like, you can get a really good defender, and I think Atlanta would be happy for sure. I do wonder, because we've got Seattle and Detroit sitting there at 5 and 6, and I would tell you that in this draft, with this draft class of players, 5 and 6 might be a decent spot to go move up and still try to get like one of those back end tier 1 guys. But are Seattle and Detroit really going to be that compelled to move back, knowing that they already have multiple picks in this first round? I feel like they're not.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not really a spot where they're going to be willing to move up. I guess things could change, but that's what my mind goes to as well. Like, you talk about Tennessee. Like, could Tennessee move up? I look at, all right, well, if Tennessee wants to make a major difference, go up and get a quarterback, maybe they're trading with Detroit at number 6. But is Detroit really going to want to move to 6 and then or to 11 and then just have 11 and 18? Maybe they would, but I'm not sure. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, because those two do have so much draft capital that's like diminishing returns at some point. But honestly, if you're a GM in today's NFL, you should be giddy at the prospect of loading up on 8 rookies in one class. A ton of top 100 picks because of just how much that can open up your window as a franchise hitting on those.
Yeah. All right. So those are some of our preliminary thoughts on the top 18 as it was solidified this past weekend. We're obviously going to be talking about plenty of that stuff with mock drafts and where players could be going and what teams could be doing all off season long. But I do want to get into the prospect part of it.
Let's do it.
We had a great transition. I'm sorry
Yeah.
we needed to talk a little bit more about
Just
it.
rewind 10 minutes.
We're heading over to the touchscreen because Mike is going to give us his tiers of prospects right now. We always like linear rankings, right? We talk about, okay, who's 1, who's 2, but it doesn't always work out like that, right? We've got players at different positions. It's like, all right, this guy could actually bring more value at this position. He actually knows the position better. There's more mastery here. There's more projection here. So we wanted to put the tier maker to the test.
Because I think this is a better way to look at prospects than a draft board, especially if you're on the outside looking in. Obviously, you're a team. You know what you want. You know what schemes you're going to run. You can rank guys very, vertically. 1 through 100, whatever. That can be, next guy on the board sort of thing, next man up. But from the outside looking in, you're more looking at just like skill sets. Because we don't have a scheme that we're projecting to. We got to project guys to all 32 schemes around the NFL and then say how good they're going to be there. So you really have to identify skill sets, what they do well now, what they need to improve, and what kind of physical ability they are capable of. And so this makes it much better, in my opinion, to basically compare across positions, I'll say, because we put, we're just going to devalue running backs. We're going to devalue interior offensive line in the PFF draft board just because it's not worth it. But they still need to be compared to their skill sets historically, so this is a better job doing that.
All right, so are these categories correct?
Yes,
okay.
I believe so.
So we've got, at the very top, we've got blue chip prospects. These are the best guys. These are the guys who have true dudes in the draft board. That's a good way to say it. High floor, middling tools, so guys that you can still can get a good amount of production from who aren't going to be busts,
Yes, those are
guys that you're convinced you could play at the next level, right?
Yeah, kind of plug and play guys, maybe aren't elite sort of physical talents, but they're already playing the game at a high enough level that you just know they're going to be impact.
Tools and performance.
That's kind of like that was like an Aiden Hutchinson last year.
Tools and performance.
Tools plus performance. So they may not be elite level tools. They may not be those high end caliber athletes, but they have they have the tools to succeed, and they've already performed at a high level at a collegiate football field.
And then tools. But the performance is a question mark here. Okay, all right. So
I think we had one more tier, did we not?
Do we?
Yeah.
I don't think we. I think it's the 4. I think it's just the 4. Yep, just the 4. Hopefully you can look. If you have some other ones that you don't think fit, we can.
I think there was one more tier that was just elite tools, and then. Oh well, we'll make it work.
Okay, we'll make it work. Where are we starting with this one?
Let's do the blue chips.
Yeah, let's start with the blue chips. You talked about it a couple minutes ago. There's a couple of these guys in this class. Who you got?
Yeah, I got 3 guys in this class.
Okay.
We'll start with one, Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia.
Okay.
He is, if I had to bet right now, the first non-quarterback drafted in this draft class. I love Will Anderson, don't get it twisted, but what he did against competition level he did, and the position he plays, that everyone's looking for that interior pressure, special prospect. May very well, pass him over there, may very well pass up Quinn Williams as the top DT we've ever had as a prospect grade-wise. So he's one. We'll go. Will Anderson is the other.
Okay.
Again, if you don't know about Will Anderson, he had over 200 pressures in 3 years in college.
Pretty
doesn't come off the field.
Insane.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete in his own right. And then the last one here, we're going to go one Bijan Robinson, or our 3 blue chips, Texas running back. And again, it's not going to be reflected on the PFF draft board because you do have to take positional value into account. That's why we're saying those guys are the obvious choices because they are valuable positions. Hitting on a guy like that, a Jalen Carter, a Will Anderson, those guys save you $15-20 million on the cap hitting on them. Whereas Bijan Robinson, you hit on him as a running back, you're saving $4-5 million on your cap.
Right.
Versus what you'd have to pay that guy in the open market. So those are your blue chip players in this draft.
That makes sense. I was wondering, I figured that we were going to get Bijan in the blue chip, but I was wondering how much we were going to play around with the return on investment, just him playing running back. But as you said, these blue chip prospects, these are guys who just have true mastery of their position. And I would not disagree with any of these guys right here. What about the high floor middling tools category?
Yes, this one, I think you guys know who already is going to go in this one. Someone like a Peter Skoronski, who Northwestern offensive tackle. 3 years as a starter, took over for Rashawn Slater as a true freshman.
Yep.
It's been starting ever since. One of the highest graded pass protection seasons we've ever had in the PFF era this past fall, but under 33-inch arms, on the smaller side for the position, not elite play strength by any means, to where high floor because of the way he plays the position, but tools-wise is not going to look like a Penei Sewell looks at the tackle position. So
I don't know if anybody looks like
that's
Penei
also
Sewell.
fair.
Watching the
That's
clip
a
of
high
him this
compliment.
past weekend of him just flipping his hips like he's a 190-pound corner
not
was
bring that one up. Let's
absolutely
not bring
wild.
that one up.
Sorry, I know this.
Next
little
one
PTSD for
on
you.
the high floor, middling tools, Michael Mayer.
Okay.
Notre Dame tight end. And he's not fast. He's never going to be fast. He is not that guy that can really stretch the field at the tight end position. He's not Kyle Pitts. But as a route runner, as a blocker, dude's elite. I mean, he gets open. He knows how to. So he is a guy that everyone's going to say plug and play, 10-year starter, whatever. And I do tend to think it's the case. Obviously been starting since his true freshman year. Led Notre Dame receiving yards this past fall. Good after the catch. You're getting a high floor tight end in Michael Mayer.
I do hate that saying. 10-year
10-year starter. Oh, it's
I
bad.
hate it.
Yeah, we rail against that.
It's no. Who's a 10-year starter? Like, even if you're great,
Mayer.
who comes around as a 10? Don't say that for guys that haven't played it down before. They're like, oh yeah, he's a 10-year starter. We don't even know if some of the best in the NFL right now are 10-year starters. So.
That's very fair. All right.
But I'm just ragging on you.
No. Next one, Brian Branch. Wow, I'm all over the place here. Brian Branch. We have the Alabama safety, but he played slot corner for Alabama.
Right. Yeah.
He is the best tackling DB by the numbers that we've ever graded at PFF. I believe he missed four tackles his entire collegiate career at Alabama. Just sees the game at a high level, but he is 6'1", 193. He is not a physically imposing safety by any means. I think what you just do with him at the next level is he just plays in the slot. I mean, that's becoming a full-time role and a valuable role in a lot of defenses, as we saw Kyle Hamilton fill with the Ravens this past fall. That Brian Branch, absurdly good in that role already at Alabama. I can just plug him in there. Know you're getting a good player. Maybe not, again, maybe he doesn't have the high end that some other guys in this class do, that some other safeties even in this class do, but you just know you're getting a damn good football player.
All right, who's next?
Last one in that tier, Jackson Smith in Jigba, because he knows how to run routes, right? He knows how to get open, very high end in that regard. The understanding, that's why you have guys like Garrett Wilson saying that he's the best receiver they've seen, because he knows basically how to get open. Like he has that to his game. Now, he may run a 4.6. He may jump a 33-inch vertical. Like, he is not that impressive athletically, but more than enough to still have a role and still succeed at the NFL level. So I think, if you're expecting him to come in and look like even a Garrett Wilson did last year, I think you'll be sorely mistaken. But I think he could come in and look like, even an Amon-Ra St. Brown as a rookie. That's kind of the role you're hoping that he plays.
I agree. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is a decent comp for what you would want to see out of Jackson Smith and Jigba.
So hopefully he goes to wherever Ben Johnson goes this offseason.
That'd be sick. That would be ideal. I agree. All right, tools performance. So is this? They've shown the tools and they've already shown college performance. They already have the stats with
yes.
that? Okay.
So they have plus tools, maybe not elite tools, but they have plus tools, and the performance is also at a high level already on a collegiate football field. So what we'll start with in that regard is Devon Witherspoon.
Your guy.
Illinois corner. 6', 180, not high-end physical traits. That's solid by all means. I think he's going to still run the low 4.4s. Good, test out well athletically, but it's not Patrick Peterson. It's not those guys where it's like, wow, that he really steps out on tape. But man, the performance was off the charts. Highest coverage grade in college football this past year. I mentioned the press coverage stat. I'm going to mention it a ton of times before the draft. 1 yard on 113 press coverage snaps this past year.
1 yard?
1 yard on 113 press coverage snaps. He's damn good.
Jeez.
So that's plus tools, and that is by far plus performance. So I think he gets into that category of a prospect. We'll stay at the corner position for the next guy. And I think Christian Gonzalez belongs in this category. I don't think he has, 4.3 speed. I don't think, if I can find him. Oh, we're going. I don't think he's that caliber of an athlete, but he's smooth, and he's 6'2", and he's 200 pounds, and that obviously can make up for a lot of other deficiencies. That's just the ideal body type that you want at the position. And then you saw him ball out on tape this past year, at a career high in terms of picks, career high for pass breakups, really put it on in his first year at Oregon. So I think he fits that bill to already with Devon Witherspoon, where it's like the tools are good, the performance is there. At that point, you got a damn good prospect. Those guys are your battle for CB1 right now.
Yep, I agree.
All right, next guy up on this list.
Tools and performance.
We are going to go to, who did I have next? We're going to go, I believe we went, trying to think. I think Jahmyr Gibbs was next on this list.
Well, he does have the tools and performance after this year, for
Alabama
sure.
running back. Yeah, I mean, he is maybe on the smaller side, so maybe doesn't fit, again, the high-end tools sort of bill where it's like Bijan, Bijan's got it all. He's 6 foot 220. He's got every single box ticks. Jahmyr does it to that point, but he's going to probably run low 4.4s, maybe high 4.3s. He has that explosibility. He has the agility. He has pretty much everything else besides that size. And then obviously at Alabama this past fall, one of the best receiving backs in the country.
Yes.
One of the best big play backs in the country. So yeah, I think he firmly belongs in that category of prospect.
Yeah, for what his game is, this speed type of game where you could especially use him on third down as a receiver, it's hard to say that he doesn't have all the tools that you would want. He's an explosive dude. He's got soft hands. He's very quick as well, can force a lot of missed tackles. So I definitely agree with this one as well, with Jahmyr being in this category.
All right, next one up.
This is where I thought you were going. When you were looking for guys, I was like, are we seeing Paris Johnson Jr. the same or what?
Yeah, we're going Paris Johnson Jr. in this category of, on tape, it's not as good as Peter Skoronski right now. But physically, it's better than Peter Skoronski. And he doesn't, again, no one looks like Penei Sewell, but he's a lot closer to Penei Sewell. He has the arm length. He has the size. Like, he has that play strength that can move people off the line of scrimmage. Just obviously, admittedly, going to be raw in pass pro. It's your first year at left tackle facing collegiate competition. So he got beat a little more than you'd like, but at least there's, I don't want to say that excuse, but at least there is a reason for why he may not look as good as Skoronski does in year 3 of playing left tackle when it's year 1 of playing left tackle for him. So would not surprise me if he ends up being OT1 off the board come next spring.
Yeah, he is somebody who certainly looks the part. And something I'd love to talk about with him is that versatility. How he played right guard last year, played left tackle this year. He's shown that there's no sort of deficiency in his game. Not that it's been perfect, but you could play him in a variety of different roles. And we've seen so many times in the NFL, just because due to injuries, you talk about getting your best 5 out there no matter what. He is always somebody who's going to give you that flexibility to put a best 5 offensive line out there. So yes, I do like Paris.
All right, next up, we're going one Nolan Smith.
All right.
The performance aspect, I mean, he may not have the highest pass rushing grade, but again, some of that, we're going to go back to what we talked about Trayvon Walker. They don't let their defensive linemen just fire off and go eat as pass rushers. They are exercising a role more often than not. So when he doesn't put up numbers that others, maybe pass rushers around the collegiate football landscape do, you kind of have, I don't want to say, again, an excuse, but there is a reason for why he's not doing that. And it's a valid one. And when you watch him able to go one-on-one with opposing offensive tackles, it's very impressive. I mean, he has a number of moves at his disposal, and he has one of the best first steps outside of a Will Anderson in college football. And yeah, he's undersized, 6'3", 235, obviously he's pretty diced up. We could probably get into the 240s in time, but he's the kind of athlete and has already shown the kind of physicality, over 90.0 run defense grade over the past 2 seasons, that I think he's an every down player, even at that size. And especially in today's NFL, this is the guy you want when the quarterback's at the mesh point with the running back. This is the guy you want defending that, because he can defend both. He can track down these athletic quarterbacks in space. So may not fit the mold of what you think of as a traditionally good run defender, but in today's NFL, that's becoming more and more important.
Yep. I think that's a really great point about defending read option players, because he's got the speed to be able to crash, he's got the speed to be able to take quarterbacks if they're going to keep it. So I think that's a great point as well. Do we have another one on this list?
One more in this tier, and now I'm thinking I missed one in the last tier, now that I'm bringing this up. But Zay Flowers.
Do you want to put him here? Or?
No.
Okay.
There's a guy over here that I missed for that tier.
Okay.
Zay Flowers
hit that next.
is a plus tools guy in terms of his movement skills.
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
Reminds me of Jalen Waddle to a degree as a prospect, where it's like Jalen Waddle was fast this way, he was fast that way. Like anytime Jalen Waddle touched the ball, he was fast in whichever direction he wanted to go at that moment. That's Zay Flowers. He makes breaks, he runs whip routes that it seems like he gains speed when he changes direction somehow. As crazy as that is to say, it's obviously not the case, but it's an optical illusion because of how explosive he is. Now, 5'10", 172. That's what you're going to keep coming back to with him. Does not have the size, but we're seeing again and again the guys that could separate win at the NFL level. Size becoming antiquated to a degree. It's just not as necessary as it was in years past with the schemes we're seeing in the NFL. So Zay Flowers, plus tools, plus performance. Maybe not elite tools because obviously the size, but definitely qualifies plus.
Who'd you miss in here?
I miss Zach Charbonnet. That's going to be our last high floor middling tools. I don't think he's going to run. I'd be surprised if he breaks 4.5 in the 40. I don't think he's going to do anything that really blows the door off at the NFL Combine athletically, but he's going to test well across the board. He's solid athletically.
And he's a big NFL
and he's built.
back.
He's built like an NFL back.
Yes.
Exactly. He has, and has shown in this UCLA offense, everything you basically want to project to the next level, and done it at a high level, top 3 rushing grades each of the past 2 seasons. That's what I'm going to bet on. So yeah, that's a high floor with maybe not the greatest tools.
All right, some tools, but maybe a little bit of question marks around the performance and the output. Who are you starting with this final tier?
We are going to go with one Trenton Simpson.
Okay.
I don't think he has necessarily the ideal size, width, length profile that would put him in the other tier where I'm going to put over here, I guess now, which is just elite tools, but maybe not quite blue chips yet because they haven't shown on the football field. But this is just guys with plus tools. Trenton Simpson has the athleticism, has the sideline-to-sideline range, is smooth in coverage, but maybe just lacking in that pure ability to read and react at the middle linebacker position. And now, he was a slot last year. He was an apex player in that Clemson defense, the overhang, whatever you want to call it. He didn't play between the tackles, so he wasn't used to doing that. His first year of doing it was, hit and miss. So that's why he gets in the kind of questionable performance, but the kind of everything you want from a coverage first linebacker, it's there with Trenton Simpson. So I think he's still a first rounder, but it definitely belongs in that tier of if he balled out a little more at the collegiate level, that guy would be a top 10 pick.
Okay, who else we got here?
Next one in that one, we're going to put Broderick Jones.
Okay.
The
Left
Georgia
tackle for
offensive tackle.
Yeah.
No. I think
I got it.
Just zoomed him back here.
There you go.
I think he's still raw in pass pro. I mean, you watch this guy, you just physically look at him when they did the sky cam in the national championship game. He is wider, built than any of those other offensive linemen. The guy's legs are like tree trunks attached to his hips. He's just a unique physical specimen, but really rough around the edges in pass pro. He went up against a guy like Isaiah McGuire who could kind of match that physical play strength with the Missouri defensive end, and it didn't look great. Though he got exposed a little in that game. Obviously looked great in the national championship game. You saw him moving out in space. He can do that, but the performance aspect just not quite there. And again, first year of really being the full-time starting left tackle, so has not played a ton, gonna come in time, but performance still a question mark in that regard. And I'd put Anton Harrison in that as well, the Oklahoma left tackle. But probably a little better in terms of pass protection, but the play strength would get exposed in the running game. I still have question marks about that with him, but pass protection, feet, length, it's all there to be a player at the next level.
So are these the only ones that you're going to put in this category?
Oh, I got a couple
one more.
Okay, I got a few more.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Because you said there was another one. We're kind of like going to create another category, but
we got 2 more in this category. We got one Luke Musgrave, the Oregon State tight end.
Your guy?
He's going to be a lot of people's guys after the NFL Combine, because I think he's going to go low 4.5s. He's going to vertical jump somewhere in the high 30s. Like, he is an athlete. And that's, you look at even just this past tight end class. Who has the most yards from the rookie class tight ends? It is the guy who ran the fastest 40 at the NFL Combine. It is Chiga Okonkwo. And it's because that position is such an athletically driven position at the NFL level that those guys succeed. So only 2 games this past fall. Great in those 2 games, over 80 yards in both of them, but got hurt. So you haven't seen him really be a focal point like a Michael Mayer has, where he's getting 80 catches in the season. That's not been the case yet with Luke Musgrave. But athletically, I mean, Mayer does not hold a candle to what Musgrave is going to be able to do. So that's the kind of what you got to weigh with a guy like that. So he belongs in that mix. And I'd even throw Siaki Ika in this mix, the Baylor nose tackle. So where he's really 358 pounds, 6'3", everything you want from a nose tackle is there. His ability to move at that size is ridiculous, but obviously at that size wears down a little more than you'd like. Played fewer snaps this year than he did last year, which you don't obviously love to see for a guy, developing his collegiate career. You don't want to see him taking steps backwards in their performance and just holding up to double teams, not as elite as you'd expect from a guy that size. So kind of the tools are all there to be an impact nose tackle at the next level. Just you're kind of hoping it would be a little more consistent at Baylor than it was.
So you got 4 guys that are left on the board here. Is this the final category?
This is the final tier.
Yeah, I screwed that up. Take the pen tool and just write elite tools.
All right, what we got?
Well, yeah, you can put them all down here.
That's the beauty of the board.
These are all.
Yeah, there you go.
We have Quentin Johnston, the TCU wide receiver. We got Miles Murphy, the Baylor defensive end. Brian Brzee, the Clemson DT, and Tyree Wilson. This is just elite tools. These are guys.
Tools.
These are Trayvon Walkers, let's say, in this draft class,
Okay.
where it's just like every single box is ticked. Every single box is ticked at a high level from a physical perspective. Now, are they going to hit the ground day one and look like that at the NFL? Like kind of obviously with Trayvon Walker, kind of a disappointing, not super impact rookie season. That could be the case with all 4 of those guys. But you're still drafting them for what they look like in years 2, 3, 4, rather than year 1, because my God, they're impressive athletically, but still, and that's why they're going to go top 10, top 12, all 4 of those guys. But still, you're like, I wish they would have shown a little bit more on tape.
Quinn, do we have in the chat throughout this entire conversation anybody who they were saying, there's a lot of disrespect going on there. Hey, good shout out. Like, has there been any theme from the chat of any of the players when we kind of gone over them here?
A lot of A grades for your rankings.
Wow. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at
people
this.
seem to agree.
And again, it's not really a ranking, right? It's kind of putting them in buckets to describe them and who they are as prospects. And now, the range on the board is going to be, Charbonnet is going to be like in the 40s, 50s, whereas Skronsky might end up in the top 10. And that's based off of tackles. An average tackle is super valuable. Even just a slightly above average tackle is super valuable, whereas a slightly above average running back, if that's Charbonnet's ceiling, nowhere near as valuable. So that's why the board will say one thing, but this can more just contextualize who these guys are.
All right. So we are chat grade. Giving it an A.
Hey.
A from the chat. A from the chat. Well done, Mike. All right, we've got a couple of full screens to show you guys and recap what we have here. We've got the 3 blue chip prospects on the board with Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and Bijan Robinson. I think the Elite 2 will probably be next, but Tier 2 is where you had Miles Murphy, Quinn Johnson, Tyree Wilson, and Brian Brzee. Then the high floor guys, Brian Branch, Peter Skoronski, Michael Mayer, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, and Zach Charbonnet. You guys, you know what you're getting when you draft them. There's not a ton of projection. We've seen the production already at the college level, so you already know what they're going to give. The NFL level, and then finally, we've got in Tier 3. Actually, we have Tier 4 now. So Tier 3, Paris Johnson Jr., Devon Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, Zay Flowers, Nolan Smith, Jahmyr Gibbs. These are the guys that have the tools and the performance already on lock. And then the guys with good tools, but maybe not as much performance as we've seen so far, or have wanted to see: Trenton Simpson, Anton Harrison, Broderick Jones, Luke Musgrave, Siaki Ika. But those guys are still ones that you love to bet on.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff, Mike. Love it, man. Highly educational. Highly educational. And the chat gave you an A grade. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Got people upset I didn't put Isaiah McGuire on the board. Hey, maybe we'll see when the board update, next board update's next week. So.
Oh, I need that one. I need that. I need the updated board in my life. All right, let's hit some wild card talk. We didn't get to talk with you yet about the wild card matchup since they went final on Sunday. Let's turn into a little bit of a bet here. When you look at the wild card schedule, what's a bold bet, or just whatever bet when you look at the schedule that you like the most?
I love the under in the Giants-Vikings. It's the highest number.
What's the under?
It's 48.5. It's the highest number of any game this weekend. The Giants' offense does not inspire me confidence to go over that number. So,
Oh, man, I see this game differently.
really? That's like an implied, with the line of 3, that's like what, an implied 23 points from the Giants in this game?
Was the final score 27-24 last time they met? So it's like around there.
Yeah. The Giants' track record of games.
I think it is close. I think the Giants win this game, though.
I think they could.
I think my bold bet might be Giants money line, but I didn't put that down there. I did put something Giants related though. I got Saquon Barkley going over 100 total yards combined, rushing and receiving, because I think the Giants play well. I really do. I think Brian Daboll is going to have that team extremely ready for this one, and that's the way that I see it.
I hope so, because I hate the Vikings, obviously, but TBD.
I guess those are our bold bets. Did you see? I don't know if you saw this from Monday's show. We had Steve on, and we were giving our just like bold playoff bets, not just wild card round bets, but bold playoff bets. Steve liked Bucks to win the Super Bowl because it's plus 2,500. He's like, why not just throw the money at Tom Brady? He's obviously made a lot of people money before. I said there's a plus 1,600 bet for the Super Bowl to just beat Niners Bengals. I think it's pretty solid. Plus 1,600, Niners
Yeah.
Bengals.
I like that. 16-1. Yeah.
I didn't think the odds would be that bad for that one. I like it. I like it. Birmingham says Trevor knows. I assume that's just because of the Giants talk. See, Giants fans, they called me a Giants hater like all year long. When are you going to give Daniel Jones respect? When are you going to give the Giants respect? Right here. They're winning this weekend. That's what I'm going with. All right, Quinn, let's get an answer to that question of the day. We think the answer, as good company men that we are, is 4.
I'll
How
just let
many?
you guys know we were wrong.
Oh, it wasn't 4?
No, it was not 4.
It's 5. Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, A.J. Brown, T.J. Edwards, James Bradbury.
T.J. Edwards was.
made it.
Yeah,
Who wrote that? Sam?
probably. Sam has an all-pro vote this year. So,
Wow.
I guess
Hell
that's who he's
yeah,
gonna have.
Sam. That's awesome. T.J. Edwards. Somebody in the chat said you guys are forgetting T.J. Edwards, and you know what I said to him? No, we're not.
I mean, I had forgot. I
And
remember
we
him.
indeed were.
I just did not.
I did not think that we were going to have. Wow. Didn't think we were going to get T.J. Edwards in there. Great question of the day. Stumped us. Bad company, man. We got to go back to the drawing board. We got to represent. Oh, I got the quarter zip though, so at least I'm representing.
It's like a half zip, man. It goes down to your belly button.
Now
Those are oddly designed.
Now
shirts.
it's now
I
half zip.
don't wear mine much.
If you put it all the way
Now
up
it's got-
too,
it's
it
like a
looks like
starter
it's
jacket
choking
that's
you.
not
The
a starter jacket.
exclusive, like wide collar.
My neck is either so short, but like when I zip it all the way up, it goes to like the middle of my chin. I can't zip it all the way up to wear it. That was yours.
Oh wait, I have
Oh,
the
you
mic.
have the
I have
mic
the mic
on.
on. I can't do that. I can't do that. All right, we got to get out of here before I break anything else, and I'm an anti-company man. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Oh, who's the chat champ today?
Chat champ is going to be Joshua. Seems like a new guy in chat. Also, I wasn't paying attention that much, so I'm just going with my gut here.
Oh,
Okay, all right, Josh.
I was moving cams.
You were
so.
moving
Don't
cameras.
sell yourself short.
He was moving cameras. But congrats to Joshua on being the chat champ. Joshua, it's a big day to be chat champ on Thursday because it's trivia. The chat is up 1 victory on us. They've got 6 wins on the year. We got 5. It's comeback time, Mike.
Yes, sir.
We're going to be locked and loaded tomorrow. We're going to be ready for it. Hopefully you guys are too. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That's Mike Renner. For everybody in the production portal, thank you guys so much for watching. It's Just Football. We'll see you right here for trivia, same time tomorrow. See you guys then.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. We just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.